Hello and welcome to the channel. And today's video is going to be a quick one, as this is going to be a quick demonstration of a custom I did on the McFarlane Toys Superpowers Superman. So this was the first Superman that McFarlane gave us in the Superpowers line. There was some anticipation as to what anticipation and excitement as to what McFarlane was going to do with the Superpowers line. And once the leaks got out of what the figures that were gonna be for that first wave, and we were gonna get a Superman and a Batman, but then we also got like the Joker who laughs and the Batman who laughs. I'm sorry, and I forget what was the other figure released on that first wave. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag, but still people were optimistic and hoping for the what McFarlane would come up with. And the figures were not met with like the most positive of reception. Some people were thinking that the were they were upset, I guess is the right word. Yeah, they were upset that McFarlane didn't use the old molds, or the old body designs for the superpowers, for his superpowers figures, and instead came up with his own take of the body, of the buck, um, and he gave us a modernized version of the superpowers line. Um, and so again, a lot of people weren't happy with that. And then over the course of the next few waves or so, McFarlane did some corrections. And finally, when he gave us a more vintage style Superman and Batman, fans were happy, collectors were happy, and the line itself started to course correct at around waves 3, 4, around that. And I was fine with the figures as they were. My only complaint, basically, for those few couple of figures, especially the Superman and the Batman, is that their stance was a little too close. Their legs were a little too close together, which the classic figures had a wider stance, basically because of the action feature that they had. That if you squeeze the legs, and their arms would move around. So the figures naturally had a wider A stance. I guess McFarlane interpreted it as if they didn't have the action feature, then their stance would be a little more straight on and not so wide and exaggerated. But I guess that was part of the charm of the original figures as well. So the next few releases, we got that wider A stance. But for me, the thing was, I was okay with the figures. Obviously, again, the feature with the legs can be corrected, and I'll explain. And of course, the other issue was the cape, which is of this ribbon material that I've yet to update. But again, just some cloth and whatever, remove the C clip and put it on a cloth cape, and you're done. The thing that about the figure that as I was looking into it, one day I was looking at it and I was like, I think I can make the proportions better or look better if I do some trimming. And what I eventually ended up doing with this guy is I only ended up trimming these sides of the torso, around the waist, and the what are these muscles? I keep forgetting what they're called. Um, anyway, the muscles that go around by the rib cage and into the back, and wrap around, right? So what I ended up doing is with a Dremel tool, I just started shaving off plastic until I got the proportions that I was looking for, which is basically in line with the waist. But I still had to trim a little bit more beyond, beyond the waistline, so that the belt would actually sit flush with the hips, right? So I just again, with a Dremel tool, I just kept taking off, and kept measuring the belt line along with the hips, and until I got the correct proportions that I was looking for. Um, of course, the belt itself is also trimmed. So you can see here at the back, even though it's jointed, I did ended up gluing the belt together, and I did end up trimming the belt like maybe two 2 millimeters, around 2 3 millimeters is the total material that I ended up removing from the sides of the figure. You can see here where I nicked the parts of the figure as I was working on it, and you can see right there the blue underneath, below the belt. Um, so yeah, I just think that with a modern take of the Superman body, the proportions needed to be a little bit, updated to modern standards. So it was just something that I decided to do. And for comparison, so this is the most recent release of the Superman in the Superpowers line, which is more in line with the vintage Superman, right? So now you can see a proper comparison of how these guys look next to each other. So even though the vintage Superman does have like the wider, burlier body, I think the modern Superman looks good next to it with a slimmer look. Um, Again, just to give an idea of how much different these guys are width wise. You can see right here how much I removed. Right, there's a lot of wiggle room side to side, so you can see the difference right there. Now the thing about customizing this figure, let me just center him a little bit better. The thing about customizing the first Superpower Superman, again, was trying to fix the stance of the figure and get him a wider stance. I can already tell that the stance right now has been is not how I left it originally. And I did this custom over a month ago. I just never got around to recording it. But what I ended up doing is with a popsicle stick, I ended up molding two holes, well, not two holes, but gaps, so that I would be able to fit in the behind the knees. After heating up the thighs and the lower legs in hot water, I stretched out the legs and inserted the popsicle stick, which had the cutouts, so that I could be able to fit the behind the knees, the mold behind the knees, and stretch out the legs. Originally, these were around like this width, around closer to this, but over time, the plastic is almost trying to settle itself back to its original position. But I think it looks like the stance is gonna stay like this now, because like I said, originally it was closer to this. If we compare the stance feet to feet, you can see the difference, right, from one to the other. So originally I had them as wide as this, but over time, the plastic, like I said, is trying to resettle itself to its original position. But I think it's finally settled in that position, which is an improvement over the original, which was pretty much straight down, right? And now the figure is a little bit more balanced, and it's not as easy to topple over, than before. Um, but yeah, I also ended up doing some minor repainting of the eyes. Um, but yeah, mostly this custom is just about trimming down the waist on this guy, just to have him look a little more modernized, since I think it was based off of the I forget if they were using the Hush Superman as part of the image on the card back. I forget, or if they were using the original Superman from the 80s. Um, but yeah, anyway, I just thought the figure would look better with just a little bit smaller waist. And yeah, so that's it pretty much on this video. Just like I said, just if you want to attempt this custom, just trim a little bit at a time. Don't go too crazy, and just make sure. I think the most important part is getting the belt line aligned properly with the hips. Otherwise, it's gonna look, if you cut the sides, the obliques. I think these are the oblique muscles, the ones on the sides, right? If you leave the oblique muscles even with the hips, the belt is gonna look weird, jutting out too much beyond the line with the hips. So I would say you gotta get the belt line aligned with the hips first, and that's when you hit the right spot for this figure. All right, so that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.